Welcome back. Let's try something fun. What happens if we keep calling functions nested inside of each other over and over and over? We saw in the previous video with the calculate function, if you call calculate line 10, then line 11, then line 13, this stack is going to get pushed on and then popped off, pushed on and then popped off. But what if we have functions that are nested inside of each other so that we keep growing this stack until it gets larger and larger and larger and larger and larger until we can't do it anymore? Well, that's called Stack Overflow, just like the name of a very popular website for developers and programmers. And Stack Overflow can be caused very easily. Let's have a look. All we need to do is create a function. Let's call it Inception. And this function will just call itself. I know that looks confusing. And what we're using here is something called recursion. And recursion is a function calling itself. There are some cases where things like this, recursion, is quite useful. But that's something beyond the scope of this course, and it's something I teach in my other courses for data structures and algorithms. But recursion is one of the most common ways to create a Stack Overflow, or a lot of functions nested inside of each other to create that stack that keeps growing and growing and growing. In this case, if I run Inception, it's going to keep adding things onto the stack more and more and more. So what do you think happens if I run this? Well, I get a maximum call stack size exceeded. We actually get a stack frame of what the error is. At each entry, the state of the stack, also called the stack frame, is shown. If at any function produces an error though, JavaScript is going to print this stack trace, which is simply a snapshot of code execution at this stack frame. And you see over here that I'm calling Inception, 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 Inception. So the same function is being called, and I get an error. Now, back in the day with Chrome, it wouldn't give you this error, and the browser will eventually just crash. But in order to prevent the browser from crashing, if it reaches a limit, it's going to print out this error saying, hey, you've just created a Stack Overflow. How cool is that? All right, so that's one way to cause problem with our call stack. That is one of two places that our JavaScript engine works. But what about the memory heap? Is there a way to do something like this with the memory heap? Well, let's find out in the next video.